What's up, NFL fans? I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook, and don't forget to check out and purchase your copy of our latest football game plan book, Stiff Arming Football Myths. We have these available in both PDF and paperback form. Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you my 2015 NFL Draft Prospect Rankings video. We're taking a look at the offensive guard position. We're going to look at my top 10, some small school prospects, as well as some sleepers that you want to keep an eye on. First, let's take a look at what goes into my prospect rankings. Number one, it's a trait focus base instead of a level of competition base. I don't care where you play, traits translate. Now look at 3 games: your best game, a player's worst game, and also the best matchup and or competition. And finally, these are not indicative of where I believe these players will actually go in April's draft. Brandon Scherff out of Iowa at 6'5", 319 pounds is my #1 rated guard prospect in this year's draft class. He plays well in confined space. He drives blocks very well in the running game and also has good hand technique, but he's not overly strong. He takes poor angles, which leads to him being susceptible to counter moves and bull rushes, which is why I think he can't play as effectively on the outside. You put him inside in that confined space and he'd excel perfectly. Checking in at number 2 is Lakin Tomlinson out of Duke. Got the chance to see him live down at the Senior Bowl. Had a great week of practice at 6'3", 323 pounds. A guy that does a great job in the run blocking department. He's a powerful run blocker. He can down block, reach block, do a great job with base and also pulling, and also is very solid in pass protection. Now he needs to consistently move his feet once engaged, and that would ultimately take him from good to great. But right now I do compare his game to Larry Walford, who plays for the Detroit Lions. I'm a big fan of Jamil Douglas out of Arizona State, who's an excellent athlete that's powerful in the running game. He has the movement skills that you look for, and I think he can also excel in the zone blocking scheme. Now, at times, he can get over-aggressive and whiff on both pass protection and in the running game. He's going to have to play with controlled aggressiveness moving forward, and I would also compare his game to Xavier Su'a-Filo that plays for the Houston Texans, same type of player coming out of UCLA. A.J. Cann out of South Carolina was a 4-year starter for the Gamecocks. Well-accomplished player that reminds me a lot of Chris Williams for the Buffalo Bills. He's able to extend and drive. His football IQ is off the charts, and he plays under control. Now, he's not overly athletic, and he struggles to finish on both pulling plays and combo blocks. That's something that he's going to have to get better at as he moves forward to become a professional. I think Irie Kouandjio out of Alabama may be underrated in this draft class. He has fluid hip explosion into his blocks. He's able to lock and drive, and his instincts are where they need to be. He also is one of those guys that initiates contact, and I would compare his game to Cyril Richardson that also plays for the Buffalo Bills, but his footwork is inconsistent because of his lower base mechanics. That's where he's going to have to clean up his game to take it to the next level. Ali Marpet out of Hobart, a Division III program, had a very strong week of practice down at the Senior Bowl. Also had strong tape throughout the course of his 4-year career playing for the Statesmen. He's very strong at the point of attack. He controls well and plays with a good base. Now, his power step can be late and he has marginal quickness, but I think he'll do just fine on the inside. He played left tackle at Hobart. He'll fit in at guard and compares favorably to Josh Sitton. Josue Matias out of Florida State has strong hands. He's very good in pass protection. He has active feet, and he has the awareness to play on the inside and excel. Now, he needs to be more aggressive on pulling plays, and he can be susceptible to double moves. He's going to have to be a little bit more patient in that capacity. Big fan of what John Feliciano out of Miami was able to put together all week long at the East-West Shrine game. He's very good in the phone booth. His hand placement is where it needs to be, and I think he's versatile enough to play guard or tackle in the NFL. Now, he struggles in space versus speed, so if you're going to put him at tackle, it would have to be the right tackle position, and he's not overly agile, which is why I firmly believe he'll be ideal inside as a guard, and reminds me a lot of Ramon Foster. Going through John Miller's game out of Louisville, you see a guy that was very strong at the point of attack that can play left guard and or right guard if need be. He drive blocks very well and has good hip torque once he engages with the defender. Now, quicker players tend to force him to grab, and he's slow to get off or cut off defenders when he down blocks or power steps. Those are some things of his game that he will have to improve on moving forward. Tre Jackson out of Florida State at 6'4", 330 pounds, came into the 2014 season with a lot of fanfare and a lot of buzz. Well earned and well deserved, and he does have very good awareness. His hand placement got better each and every game. He does have very good feet, very quick feet. Now, he's not stout at the point of attack, and he has to be stronger. And although I mentioned that his hand placement had gotten better each and every game, it was still inconsistent from where I would like it to be for an offensive lineman. Bonne out of Memphis played right tackle for the Tigers. He's built like a guard, so he'll play guard as a pro. Now, he's a guy that can climb to the second level very well. I feel as though he'll be much better consistently as a guard. He does have those short arms, which causes him to wait for rushers instead of initiating contact. And in my opinion, I think he'll excel inside because of that aspect. When he locks on a defender, he's able to maintain and control and drive block very effectively. Now, what he'll gain from playing tackle is experience playing in space, and that'll ultimately make him more of a well-rounded ball player with flexibility. Rocco Evans out of Illinois State is a guy that I'm very impressed with. He's your classic lock and drive offensive guard. He's in the mold of former East Carolina guard Will Simmons, who was in last year's draft class, in the sense that he excels on the interior as well as in space in the pass protection department. Now, I'm a big fan of how his hands stay inside consistently. He's able to get very good movement off the ball. At 6'5", 330, Evans has the size and the ability to compete at the next level. Adam Shedd out of Oklahoma at 6'4", 338 pounds, pins and seals very well. He can lock and drive, and he fires off the football in the running game. Now, he has an inconsistent base, which causes lunging and also reaching, and he doesn't always bring his feet once engaged. If he can improve in those areas, I think he can show a little bit more as a pro than what he did as a collegiate. Mark Glowinski out of West Virginia at 6'4", 307 pounds, had a very good week of practice at the East-West Shrine game this year. He plays with good balance and leverage and drive blocks very well. Now, he catches at times. His hands tend to get outside, and he has to become better at initiating contact moving forward. But I do like the raw athleticism that's shown by the 6'4", 307-pound Mountaineer. Caleb Johnson out of Rutgers at 6'4", 305 is a guy that I came away highly impressed with how athletic he is as a guard. The Scarlet Knights utilize him on a lot of pulls and traps, and he gets out and around pretty quickly, which puts him at the point of attack immediately. The issue is when he engages the defender, he loses balance trying to maintain control and is not as powerful as you would like a player to be at that position. He has to become more functionally strong in order to stick as a pro. I will say this, though, in pass pro, he's a much better player. It would be ideal in a predominantly passing offense where you can also get creative and move the pocket with him as a lead protector. Ned Dariush out of Lehigh is a highly decorated player that was a two-time All-Patriot League performer and a 3-year starter. He's a very good athlete that's put on the move in the running game. He played left tackle at Lehigh, so he'll kick down inside. He can play left guard or right guard, with how he's able to fire off the football. And I think when you look at his hands, they're very strong at the point of attack, but I want to see him become a little bit more consistent with moving his feet once he's engaged with the defender. But I'm a big fan of how he's able to get into his pass pro setup quickly, very smooth kick slide, and doesn't overextend or over-exaggerate the process. Bobby Hart is another offensive lineman coming out of Florida State this season. He also is another one of these guys that had a very good week of practice at the East-West Shrine game. He has very good kick slide in his setup. He drives well and has active feet. Now, he struggles to anchor, and his hands can get outside, and he struggles to move his feet in pass protection. With the active feet that he has, if he's able to move his feet once engaged, he can move anyone out of the way, which is why I compare his game to Dakota Dozier that plays for the New York Jets. I think he has tremendous upside coming out of Tallahassee. Another talented offensive lineman coming out of that Mountaineer program is Quinton Spain at 6'4", 345 pounds. He moves extremely well for a guy that size and is also very athletic. Now, he struggles to anchor, and his reset and redirect skills need a lot of work, in my opinion. I think he'd be ideally suited in a zone blocking scheme, and I would compare his game to David Keesenberry that plays for the Houston Texans. Arthur Ray Jr. out of Fort Lewis not only has one hell of an inspirational story, but also has good all-around game to boot. He has good movement skills, played with controlled aggression while in college. He played left tackle at Fort Lewis. He also played inside as a guard when he was at Michigan State. He's able to stymie with his punch, and I love his footwork, like I said before. Now, he needs to work on keeping his hands inside and explode into his run blocks. But overall, you look at a guy like Menelik Watson that plays for the Raiders, I think that's who Arthur Ray Jr., who has a ton of upside, compares favorably to. Ben Beckwith out of Mississippi State. I know it sounds like a broken record, but he did have a very good week down at the East-West Shrine game as well, along with his compadre and teammate, Dylan Day. Now, he competes well. He understands combo blocking and has good initial punch. Now, he must play faster. He's not quick in transition. Those are some things that I believe he'll have to work on as he moves on to the NFL. Clayton Truitt out of Charleston Southern, coming out of the FCS ranks at 6'3", 295 pounds, is a very quick athlete that beats defenders to the spot, and he also extends well once he's engaged. Now, his lower base needs a lot of work. He has to explode into that contact if he wants to sustain success as a pro. Another fine offensive line prospect coming out of the Tennessee State program. This time it's Robert Myers at 6'5", 326 pounds. Very good athlete that can play either guard or tackle on either side if you want to. He takes good angles and he has very good movement skills. Now, he struggles with leverage and pad level. He plays a little bit too high, which causes him to lose ground and lose leverage and get bellied back into the backfield. So I think if he can improve that pad level, he'll definitely maximize his potential. Now let's recap my 2015 NFL Draft prospect rankings for the offensive guard position, and these are color-coded by round grade. Only 2 first-round graded prospects this year in red. Blue is second round, green you have your third-round prospects, and so on and so forth. Very good interior offensive line class this year, and I wouldn't have a problem with any one of these guys on my line of scrimmage.